In this episode of QuickSpeak English, we're diving deep into the amazing world of learning English through music and lyrics. It's something I've been wanting to explore for ages.
Oh, it's fantastic and so effective. I mean, you wouldn't believe the results people see. It's like a total game changer, seriously.
So, tell me, where do we even begin? I mean, there's so much music out there. How do you even start to use it effectively?
Right. Well, the very first thing is to find music you actually enjoy, something that really resonates with you. Otherwise, it's going to feel like a chore. And that defeats the whole purpose. It's got to be something fun.
Totally. So, like, if I love pop music, I should start with pop songs?
Absolutely. Pop, rock, country, whatever gets your toes tapping. And, start with something relatively simple lyrically. You don't want to start with like a super complex opera. Do you know what I mean? That would be overwhelming.
Haha, good point. Okay, so I found my song. What's next?
Then you listen and listen again and again. Really focus on the pronunciation, the rhythm, the flow. Listen to it actively, not passively.
Okay, so active listening, got it. What exactly does that involve?
Well, you could try singing along, even if you're terrible at first. It helps with pronunciation and intonation immensely. Like you get a feel for the music and the words and how they fit together, and it just makes it more fun. Really. You can also try to shadow the singer. That's where you try to mimic their pronunciation as closely as possible in real time.
Wow, that sounds intense, but also fun. So what if I don't understand all the words?
That's totally normal at first. That's why we have lyrics. Look up the lyrics online and try to follow along as you listen. You can even highlight the words you don't understand, and then you look them up in a dictionary or online. It's really, really important to understand the meaning of the lyrics to really get the context.
Okay, so like active listening, singing along, shadowing, and looking up lyrics. I'm getting it. So after I understand the lyrics, what then?
Well, then the thing is, you can start to break down the individual parts of the song. Like phrases, clauses, individual sentences. You can start noticing the grammatical structures, the vocabulary, and you start to internalize all of this subconsciously almost. It's amazing, really.
So it's like passively learning grammar without even realizing it. That's pretty cool.
It really is. And it's also about context. Music gives context to the words, and you're getting exposure to natural spoken English, the way native speakers actually speak.
Right? So it's not just memorizing vocabulary words, but actually seeing them used in a context.
Exactly. And you start to develop an ear for the rhythm and flow of the English language. That's a huge part of fluency.
I'm starting to see how this is like way more than just listening to songs. This is actually a really structured approach.
It totally is. And there are so many resources out there to help you. There are websites with song lyrics, and there are tons of YouTube videos that break down songs grammatically. It's fantastic.
So let's say I've mastered a few songs. What's next?
Well, you can try different genres, explore, experiment, and you can even start writing your own lyrics inspired by songs you like. You can even try rapping. It's super fun, and that will really enhance your creative skills and your vocabulary.
Oh, I like that. That's actually really creative. So it's not just about passive listening and repetition. It's about active participation and creation.
Exactly. And remember, it's about making it fun. If you're enjoying yourself, you're more likely to stick with it. And the more you stick with it, the better you'll get.
This is incredible. I never thought of learning English in this way. It's so much more engaging than textbooks and grammar exercises.
See, that's the beauty of it. It's like a secret weapon, a fun way to really improve your English. It's learning while having fun. What could be better?
You're right. I'm seriously considering writing my own song now. It seems so exciting. I'm almost tempted to try and rap.
Do it. You should definitely try. It's a really, really great way to solidify what you've learned.
Okay, so let's recap. Find music you love, active listening, sing along, shadow the singer, look up lyrics, break down the song grammatically, experiment with different genres, and even write your own lyrics. That's a lot to take in, but it's all so exciting.
Exactly. And remember, consistency is key. Even just 15 minutes a day can make a huge difference. And don't be afraid to make mistakes. It's part of the learning process. and have fun with it.
I feel so much more confident now. Thanks so much for sharing your expertise, Lily. This has been a game changer, seriously.
Anytime, Sophia. It was my absolute pleasure. And remember, learning English shouldn't feel like a chore. It should be an adventure. So put on some music and let's get learning. Now, before we end, did you hear about the musical group who got lost in the woods? They were completely lost without a compass, but they found their way out by following the rhythm. Get it?
Haha, that's a good one. Okay, that's all for this week's episode of QuickSpeak English. Thanks for listening, everyone. Join us next time for another exciting episode.
Bye, everyone. And remember to keep singing and keep learning.
Second paragraph in the dialogue.
So I've got something super exciting for you today on QuickSpeak English. And I can barely contain myself because, we're diving into something that's going to be totally game-changing for your English learning journey.
Oh, man. And I'm just really pumped to share this one with everyone.
Right? So today we're talking about learning English through music and lyrics. And I've got my absolutely amazing friend Peter here, who's like literally the master of using music to teach languages.
You're too kind, you know what I mean? But yeah, I've been using music to help people learn English for, gosh, like over 10 years now. And it's just absolutely incredible what it can do for language learning.
I've got to ask because I'm really curious. How did you even get into this whole music and language connection?
Well, it actually started when I was learning Spanish myself, right? And I found myself just naturally picking up these phrases from songs. And it totally changed everything for me. Like, it was just mind-blowing how much faster I was learning, you know?
That's honestly amazing. I mean, I've noticed how songs just stick in my head, but I never really thought about using that for language learning. So Peter, I've been dying to know what exactly makes music such a powerful tool for learning English? Like, what's happening in our brains when we combine music and language?
Oh, wow, that's such a great question. And I get really excited talking about this because, it's actually pretty fascinating. See, when we listen to music, right, our brains are like, ooh, literally lighting up in multiple areas at once.
What do you mean exactly?
So, and this is the really cool part. When you're listening to a song in English, right, your brain is processing both the melody and the words together. And what happens is the music creates these like neural pathways that make it so much easier to remember the language. You know what I mean?
That's actually incredible. But what about the rhythm part of it?
Right. So the rhythm is absolutely crucial here. Like, think about how natural speech has its own kind of rhythm, right? And music basically helps you internalize these patterns without even trying. It's like pekhe, 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 pekhe jere, pekhe, 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 pekhe.
So, is that why we sometimes can't get songs out of our heads?
Exactly. And that's what makes it so powerful for learning. You see, songs create what we call an earworm effect, where the lyrics just keep playing in your mind. And when those lyrics are in English, you're basically getting this free practice session, right? Your brain is just continuously processing and reinforcing those language patterns.
That's really fascinating, especially the part about it happening automatically.
Oh, totally. And here's something even better. You know how emotions play a huge role in memory? Well, music is like, it's absolutely perfect for this because it creates these emotional connections and that makes the language stick even more in your memory. You know what I mean?
So, what should people actually look for when choosing songs for learning English? Like, what makes a good song for learning?
Oh, that's such an important question because, not every song is going to be like equally helpful for learning. And it really depends on your level, right?
What do you mean by that?
So like for beginners, right, you really want songs that are slower and super clear. And I always tell my students to look for songs with la 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 arla la ar arla erla la arla la ar arla arla la arla. Perfect by Ed Sheeran or 1,000 Years by Christina Perri.
What about the vocabulary? Should they worry about that?
Yeah, and this is really crucial. You want to look for songs where the vocabulary matches your level, right? Like for beginners, pop songs are usually the. They're absolutely perfect because they use everyday words and ku and simple present tenses mostly. You know what I mean?
That makes a lot of sense. What about more advanced learners?
Oh, they can go for something more like challenging, right? And what's really cool is that more advanced learners can actually benefit from faster songs with more complex vocabulary. Songs that tell stories or have deeper meanings. Like rap music can be amazing for this because it's got such rich vocabulary and complex rhyme patterns.
Something else I've been wondering, does accent matter?
That's actually super important to consider. Like, you want to start with singers who have really clear pronunciation, right? And maybe stick to the accent you're trying to learn because, if you're learning American English, it might be confusing to start with songs that have strong British or Australian accents. You know what I mean?
So, what are some specific techniques people can use when learning with music? Like, how should they actually work with the songs?
Oh, this is where it gets really exciting. Like, there are so many different ways to work with songs, and I've seen amazing results with my students using these techniques,
What's your favorite technique to start with?
So the first thing I always tell my students is to just listen. Like, just enjoy the song first, right? And then what's really powerful is to read along with the lyrics while you're listening. Because, this helps you connect the sounds to the written words, right?
That sounds pretty straightforward. What comes next?
Then you want to actually break down the song into smaller chunks. Like, maybe start with just the chorus, right? And what's really amazing is to pause after each line and try to repeat it. Really focusing on matching the singer's pronunciation and rhythm.
And what about the words they don't understand?
Oh, this is such a great point. What I always recommend is to, make a list of new words you hear, right? And don't try to look up every single word right away. Sometimes it's better to guess the meaning from context first. Then you can check if you were right. You know what I mean?
Are there any specific exercises you recommend for pronunciation?
Yes, absolutely. One of my favorite techniques is what I call, shadow singing. And what you do is sing along with the song, but really quietly, right? This helps you nail the pronunciation and rhythm without feeling self-conscious. And another really powerful thing is to record yourself singing or even just speaking the lyrics, then compare it to the original. It's amazing how much you can learn from that.
What about memorization? Should people try to memorize the lyrics?
That's actually one of the best parts about learning with music. Because, songs are naturally, designed to stick in your head. And when you memorize lyrics, you're not just learning individual words, you're learning whole phrases and natural speech patterns. It's totally powerful stuff.
I've been wondering, what are some common problems that people run into when they're trying to learn English through music?
Oh, this is such a great question. One of the biggest challenges I see is that people often pick songs that are way too difficult for their level, and they get frustrated because they can't understand anything.
So what's the solution for that?
The key is to start with songs that match your level. Like, if you're a beginner, look for songs with ba da 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 ba da 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 and gradually work your way up to more complex stuff. Taylor Swift's slower songs are perfect for beginners, you know what I mean?
Are there any other major obstacles people face?
Oh yeah, definitely. Another big one is dealing with slang and idioms in songs. Like, music often uses a lot of non-standard English, right? And sometimes the metaphors can be really tricky to understand.
How do you help your students deal with that?
So what I always tell them is to focus on the context first. And don't get too hung up on understanding every single word, Sometimes it's better to get the general meaning and then dig deeper into the specific phrases that catch your interest.
What about when the singing is too fast to follow?
That's such a common issue. But there's this really amazing solution. Like, you can use music apps or YouTube to slow down the playback speed, right? And this lets you hear each word more clearly. Then you can gradually increase the speed until you can follow the original tempo.
How about the issue of different accents in songs?
Oh, this is actually a hidden blessing. Because, in real life, you'll encounter all kinds of accents. And music is this fantastic way to expose yourself to different varieties of English. Like, you can learn British English from the Beatles, American English from Taylor Swift, and Australian English from AC/DC. You know what I mean?
It would really help if you could share some specific songs that our listeners could start with.
Oh my goodness, yes. I've got so many great recommendations that I'm just dying to share. Like for absolute beginners, I always recommend Stand By Me by Ben E. King. It's got this beautiful slow tempo and really clear lyrics, you know?
That sounds perfect for beginners. What about intermediate learners?
For intermediate learners, I'd say something like Perfect by Ed Sheeran is fantastic. The vocabulary is a bit more advanced, but it's still really clearly sung, right? And then you've got songs like Brave by Sarah Bareilles, which has such powerful messages and great vocabulary.
What resources can people use alongside these songs?
Oh, there are so many amazing tools out there. Like, Lyrics Training is this fantastic website where you can practice by filling in missing words. And there's this amazing app called Music's Match that shows you real-time lyrics while the song is playing. You know what I mean?